Okay, so buckle up, everybody, because today's deep dive is going to get a little spicy. We're talking AI, but not like, the kind that like helps you schedule your meetings or picks out what you're going to have for dinner. We're going deeper. We're talking about Elon Musk and his company XAI and their chatbot Grok, which just got some updates that honestly kind of raising some eyebrows.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're really seeing AI starting to kind of push into areas that I think a lot of people consider like really human territory, like adult content. There are a lot of people talking about this right now.
Yeah, they added these new voice modes, and one of them was called unhinged mode. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of thinking like, ooh, that sounds kind of fun. But then there's the other new feature, an 18+ sexy mode. I mean, wow.
Yeah, this is different. I mean, we've seen adult chatbots, things like Replica.
Yeah.
But those are designed for like being a companion. But Grok, that's meant to be like a general purpose tool, It's supposed to be able to do it all. Like you can use it to write code or answer trivia questions. And now this.
It's like that scene in some sci-fi movie where you've got that friendly robot and suddenly it just starts making these like suggestive comments. It's like, whoa, hold on a second. Even OpenAI, the people who made ChatGPT, they're thinking about making an adult mode.
Yeah, and their CEO, Sam Altman, he said it's not just like some fun little upgrade or whatever. He straight up called it a business decision. Like, they need this to stay competitive.
Whoa. So, like, is this the new normal? Are we going to see a future where, like, every AI, every digital assistant has this, like, adult content switch? I don't know about that.
It's something to consider, for sure.
So is this just, like, harmless fun? Or is this like opening Pandora's box? Can we even control this?
Those are all valid questions. I think to understand the impact of all of this, that we need to start with like what these features actually do. Like what is unhinged mode, really?
Yeah, let's get into that. It sounds pretty unpredictable.
Well, basically, it seems to be like giving the AI permission to use language that would normally be considered like inappropriate or offensive, breaking the rules of polite conversation.
Like that time when that AI researcher got Grok to just go on this 30-second rant, just screaming and cursing. I saw the video, it was hilarious, but also like kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's a good example of how unpredictable this stuff can be. It's kind of like you're handing someone this loaded weapon, but you don't know if they're going to use it responsibly. Then you've got sexy mode, which brings up a whole other set of issues.
I mean, we already have adult chatbots, right? Why is this one any different?
It's the context. Like those other chatbots, they're designed for a specific purpose, but Grok is different. It's designed to be a part of like all sorts of different things, all sorts of different areas of our digital lives. So when something that's supposed to be for everyday tasks can suddenly switch to generating adult content, that's where the lines get blurry.
Wow, yeah. I didn't really think about it like that before. So is this really any different from just going to like an adult website?
Yeah. It's more complicated than that. I mean, we have to think about whether this technology could be used in ways that are harmful or exploitative. Like, could it be used to make deepfakes or spread misinformation?
And how do you even prevent, like, kids from using it? Are we really just assuming that everyone is going to follow age verification rules?
Well, that's what OpenAI is saying they're going to do. Age verification, user controls. But even they admit that there are going to be some gray areas.
This is a lot to think about. It feels like we're entering this whole new world with AI, and we're not even sure what the rules are, or if we can even make rules that will work.
Yeah, we're in uncharted territory, and honestly, we're just scratching the surface. This is just the beginning.
So we've got this super powerful tool that could be amazing, but also could be used for some really bad stuff.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you've got the potential for incredible innovation and creative expression. But on the other hand, you've got the potential for misuse and unintended consequences.
So how do we balance that? How do we keep AI under control? How do we use it for good and not let it get out of control?
That's the question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the risks and the benefits of AI, and we need to work together to figure out some kind of framework for developing AI responsibly.
That sounds like a pretty tall order.
Yeah.
But it feels important because the decisions we make right now about AI and adult content, they could have a huge impact for generations to come.
Absolutely. This isn't just about the next few years, it's about the future of humanity. And that's why it's so important to be having these discussions now, to explore all the angles.
Yeah.
And to approach AI with both excitement and caution.
Okay, so we've talked about these unhinged and sexy modes and the potential risks and benefits of all this. But what about the people who are making this stuff? What about the developers? What role do they play in all of this?
They have a huge responsibility. I mean, they're the ones creating these technologies, so they have to think about the ethical implications.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in all the cool stuff you can do.
Yeah.
But you also have to think about the potential consequences. And at the end of the day, it's their code that's bringing these AI tools to life.
Exactly. They need to be asking themselves some tough questions, like what could go wrong with this? Could this be used to harm people? It's not just about what's possible, it's about what's responsible.
So the developers have a huge responsibility. But what about the rest of us? The users? What can we do?
We need to be informed. We need to be engaged. We need to stay up to date on what's happening in the world of AI and think critically about what it all means.
So it's not enough to just sit back and let it happen, right? We need to be involved.
Exactly. We need to be asking questions, expressing our concerns, and demanding transparency from the developers and from the people making the policies.
We have a voice, and we need to use it.
Absolutely. The future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's something that we're all creating together through the choices we make and the actions we take.
So we've covered a lot. But I'm really interested in the psychological side of all of this. Like, what does it mean for AI to be engaging with adult content?
That's fascinating. It's a whole area of research that's really just getting started. I think we're going to be seeing some really interesting studies in the next few years as we try to understand how these technologies are affecting us, our relationships, our sense of self, and even our understanding of what it means to be human.
I can't wait to see where that goes. But for now, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about.
Definitely. And we're going to keep exploring this in our next segment, so stay tuned. So as these AI systems get better at mimicking how humans talk to each other, it makes you wonder how they're going to handle adult content. Like, what does that even mean for an AI?
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. It's like we're teaching machines about something that's so fundamental to being human.
Sex.
Intimacy, all that stuff. It's all wrapped up in emotions and societal norms.
It's complicated. Yeah, and it raises these really interesting questions about how AI might, internalize all of that and how it might reflect all those complexities.
So could AI, develop its own understanding of things like intimacy or desire? Could it even, understand love? Or is it just mimicking the patterns it sees in the data?
That's a huge debate right now. Some people say that AI can only be a mirror, just reflecting back what it sees without actually understanding it. But other people think that as these AI systems become more complex, they might start to develop qualities that go beyond just imitation.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but this is kind of a creepy form of flattery.
Yeah.
Do we really want AI trying to understand human desire?
It's a valid concern. I think it touches on this really fundamental question. What does it even mean to understand something? Do you need to experience an emotion to really understand it? Or can you learn about it just by observing it?
Whoa, now we're getting philosophical.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually think of AI as this logical, rational thing. But if it starts getting into human emotions, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right. It starts to blur the lines between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. If an AI can write a poem that makes you cry, does it matter if the AI itself feels sad?
It's a whole new level of the Turing test. It's not just about talking like a human anymore. It's about experiencing things like a human. And that brings up all sorts of ethical issues.
Exactly. We need to think carefully about what it means to create AI that can engage with adult content. Could it lead to AI that objectifies people or exploits them? Could it blur the lines between real and virtual relationships in ways that could be harmful?
And how do we even begin to deal with all of that? It feels like we're just starting to understand AI, and it's already moving faster than we can keep up.
It is a fast-moving field. And that's why we need to keep talking about this and keep doing research. We need experts from all sorts of different areas, like computer science, psychology, ethics, sociology, all working together to try to figure out how to handle all of this.
It's like we need a whole new branch of ethics.
Maybe we do.
One that's specifically focused on AI and human experience.
It's possible.
And it can't just be academics and tech people talking about this. It needs to be a public conversation.
Definitely. Everyone needs to be involved.
Because these technologies are going to affect everyone.
They are. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits. And we need to work together to create a future where technology helps us, not the other way around.
So we've been talking a lot about ethical frameworks and stuff. But what's actually being done? Are there any rules or regulations in place?
It's still early days, but people are starting to realize that we need some ethical guidelines. Organizations like OpenAI and the Partnership on AI, they're working on developing best practices and guidelines.
So it's not just about preventing AI from doing bad things. It's about making sure it's used for good.
Exactly. We want to be able to harness the power of AI, but also mitigate the risks. One way to do that is to make sure that AI systems are transparent. Like, we should be able to understand how they make decisions.
That makes sense. If we can understand how the AI is thinking, then we can identify potential problems.
Right. Another important area is data privacy and security. I mean, these AI systems, they use tons of data, so we need to make sure that data is handled responsibly.
Especially when we're talking about something as sensitive as adult content, that kind of data could be really damaging.
Absolutely. We need really strong data protection measures. We need to make sure user data is anonymous and that it's stored securely, and that it's only used for its intended purpose.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to do.
There is.
This isn't just a technical problem, it's an ethical problem and a societal problem.
You got it. It's going to take all of us working together. Developers, policymakers, researchers, the public. We need to have these open and honest conversations and address these concerns head on.
Okay, so we've talked about ethical frameworks and responsible development and all that, but let's go back to the user experience for a second.
Yeah.
How could all of this change the way people interact with technology?
That's a really interesting question. I think one potential impact is that the line between real relationships and virtual relationships could become even more blurred. As AI gets better at mimicking human interaction, people might start to form emotional attachments to these AI systems.
We're already seeing that happening, even without the adult content aspect. People name their Roombas, they get attached to their smartphone assistants, they even mourn the loss of virtual pets in online games.
Exactly. So imagine how those attachments might evolve as AI systems become more lifelike and capable of more intimate interactions.
I mean, on the one hand, that could be really good for people who are lonely or isolated. But on the other hand, it could lead to people becoming overly reliant on those virtual relationships and neglecting their real-world connections.
That's definitely a risk. We need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And we need to be mindful of the potential impact of all this technology on our social interactions and our mental well-being.
It's like any new technology. It can be used for good or bad.
Sure.
It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
I agree. It's about finding that balance, using the benefits of technology, but also mitigating the risks. And that requires us to be having these conversations, to think critically about what we're doing, and to be willing to adapt as technology continues to evolve.
It's exciting and scary all at the same time. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge.
We are.
But we need to make sure that it's a good thing.
Absolutely. We're living in a time of incredible technological advancement. The possibilities are almost limitless, but it's up to us to make sure that we use this technology responsibly, to create a future that benefits everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about the ethical considerations, the potential impact on users, the need for responsible development, all that stuff. But I'm curious, where do you see this technology going in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
That's a great question, and it's one that a lot of people are trying to answer. It's hard to predict the future, But based on what we're seeing now, I think it's safe to say that AI is going to keep getting better at mimicking human interaction and creating content that seems real.
So we're talking about AI that can not just write text, but create images and videos, maybe even entire virtual experiences that are indistinguishable from reality.
That's where we're headed. And that brings up a whole new set of questions about authenticity and trust, about what's real and what's fake.
It's like we're entering this new era where the lines between the physical and the virtual are becoming completely blurred.
It is. And it's an exciting future, but it's also a little bit scary.
For sure.
We need to be prepared for this. We need to develop our critical thinking skills. We need to learn how to be more media literate. We need to be skeptical of what we see online. And we need to have these conversations about the ethical implications of all of this. We need to create safeguards to protect our privacy and our autonomy and our sense of reality.
So we're talking about a future where AI is everywhere.
Yes.
Where it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Right.
Where we need to be constantly thinking critically.
Absolutely.
And questioning everything.
It's a challenge.
But it's also pretty exciting.
It is. We're living in a time of incredible change. And we have the opportunity to shape the future of AI. So let's make sure we do it right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have.
Ethics, user behavior,
Yeah.
responsible development, the future. But let's bring it back to our listeners. Why does all of this matter?
It matters because AI is already affecting our lives.
Yeah, it's not just some abstract concept. It's happening right now. It's in the recommendations we see on social media. It's in the ads that follow us around the internet. It's shaping our digital experiences.
Exactly. And as AI gets more powerful, its influence is only going to grow. It's going to affect our jobs, our relationships, our healthcare, our education, even our sense of self.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how that technology is changing society.
Yeah.
And changing what it means to be human.
That's exactly right.
So what can our listeners do to stay informed about all of this?
Well, the most important thing is to be curious. Read articles, listen to podcasts, go to lectures, talk to people about AI. The more you learn, the better prepared you'll be.
So don't just wait for AI to happen to you. Be proactive.
Exactly.
Shape AI yourself.
Talk to your elected officials,
No?
support organizations that are working on responsible AI development, and speak up if you have concerns about ethical issues. Remember, the future of AI is not set in stone. It's something that we're all creating together.
Okay, so we've talked about staying informed, but there's another important skill, critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In this age of information overload and AI-generated content, it's more important than ever to be able to tell fact from fiction, to recognize bias, and to question the information you're given.
It's like we need to have a healthy skepticism when it comes to technology.
We do.
Don't be afraid of it, but don't just blindly accept it either.
Right.
Question everything.
Question the source. Consider the motives. Look for evidence.
Be a savvy consumer of information.
Exactly.
We need to be able to think for ourselves, even in the digital age.
I think that's a great place to leave it. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's something that we're all creating together. So let's make sure we create a future where AI serves humanity.
I love that. Okay, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about.
We have.
We've talked about ethics, user behavior, responsible development, the future of AI, and what we can all do to be a part of it. But there's still so much more to explore.
There is.
And that's what we'll be talking about in our final segment.
So stay tuned.
Okay, so we're back. And wow, we've covered a lot of ground. This whole conversation about AI, it's really got me thinking.
Yeah, it's complicated, right? It's easy to get swept up in all the hype or all the doom and gloom.
Yeah, like, is AI going to save the world? Or is it going to destroy us all?
Right. But the truth is, it's probably going to be somewhere in between. AI is a tool, like any tool. It can be used for good or for bad.
So it all comes down to us, the humans. We're the ones who decide how to use it.
Exactly.
Which is why these conversations are so important. We need to be thinking about the ethical implications, the potential risks. What could happen down the line?
Yeah.
When we're not careful.
We can't just let technology dictate our future. We need to be shaping the technology.
Okay, so let's talk about the future. Where do you see AI going in the next few years? What are you most excited about, or maybe a little nervous about?
Well, one thing that I find really fascinating is the development of AI systems that can understand human emotions, like really understand them.
So AI that can not only process what we're saying, but also how we're feeling. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And it has the potential to change so many things. Imagine AI tutors that could adjust their teaching style based on how a student is feeling, or AI therapists that could provide personalized support.
That's amazing. But it also sounds like there's potential for misuse.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how do we know that this kind of AI won't be used to manipulate people?
That's a big concern. Imagine an AI advertising system that uses your emotional data to target you with ads that play on your fears or insecurities.
Yeah, that's not cool.
We need to be thinking about these things now before this technology gets out of control.
Okay, so emotional AI is something to watch.
Yeah.
What else is on your radar?
Another thing that I'm really interested in is how AI is becoming more integrated into the physical world.
We're already seeing that.
Yeah.
With self-driving cars and robots in factories.
Right. And smart homes that can adjust the temperature
Okay.
and the lighting based on your preferences.
It's like AI is stepping out of the computer
Yeah,
and into our lives,
it is.
which is exciting, but also kind of scary.
There are so many potential benefits. Imagine a world with safer transportation, thanks to self-driving cars, or robots that can do dangerous jobs. so that humans don't have to.
Sounds almost utopian.
But we also need to be realistic.
What if these systems malfunction? What if they get hacked? And what about all the jobs that could be lost if robots start replacing human workers?
Those are all valid concerns.
We need to be having these conversations.
Right.
And planning for the future.
We need to be proactive.
Yeah.
Not reactive.
This is a chance for us to shape the future.
It is.
To create the world we want to live in. It's a huge responsibility.
It is.
But it's also incredibly exciting.
I agree.
We're living in a time of unprecedented change.
And AI is at the forefront of that change.
The decisions we make today
will have a ripple effect for generations to come.
Okay, so we've talked about the ethics of AI. The potential impact on society, and some of the challenges we're facing. But let's bring it back to our listeners. What does all of this mean for them?
It means that AI is not just something that's happening in the background. It's something that's going to affect all of us in profound ways.
So we need to be paying attention.
We do.
We need to be informed, we need to be engaged, and we need to be thinking critically about the choices we make, both individually and as a society.
The future of AI is not predetermined. It's something that we're all creating together.
I think that's a great place to wrap things up. This has been an incredible conversation, and I know I've learned a lot.
Me too.
I hope our listeners have too. And I hope they'll continue to explore this topic and engage in these important conversations. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of emerging technology.